Well, hello everyone. Ahlan wa sahlan. I'm so happy to have so many people joining us this evening for our International Coffee Hour. I'm Zeina Schlenoff, the director for the Middle Eastern Studies Program and the Middle East Center at FSU. I would like to give you a brief introduction of the Middle East Center and what we do in our programs, and then we'll go on from there. So I will share the screen with you. Okay, so this is my Ahlan wa Sahlan slide, and I love the saying by Rumi that yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. And I hope that you all think about this and think deeply of what it means. Our mission in the Middle East Center is to provide an academic environment for students to develop a deeper understanding of the Middle East. God knows how important this region of the world is and how misunderstood this region is. So our really aim at FSU is to get you to understand the Middle East as much as possible. And as Yang said, we are committed to tolerance, inclusion, civility, diversity among all our students. So everyone is welcome, and everyone who join our programs or join our degree or come visit us in the Middle East Center will become a big part of our big Middle East family. The Middle East Center is located in the Kellogg building. We have 3 rooms, room 315, 16, and 317. And inshallah, as we say, hopefully by next year, we'll be back on campus and we'll be able to have a real open house and welcome you all to come and visit us. If you want to find out more information about our center, this is our website. It's mec.fsu.edu. It has a lot of information about our programs and our activities. Academically, we offer a major. It's a BA degree in Middle Eastern Studies. We are part also of the honors in the major. We have many of our students that choose to write a thesis in their major and join the honors program. We offer a minor in Middle East Studies, a minor in Arabic, and a minor in Hebrew. And you can find more information about these by clicking at our website and seeing what we have. We have also a very strong outreach program. We are dedicated to increasing knowledge about the Middle East, as I said, in students and in individuals in the greater Tallahassee area and the surrounding communities. We have a very strong outreach program, and in fact, usually in usual times, we have lectures on campus, we have activities on campus, we have a program and outreach for schools from K through 8th grade. We have a service learning program where students can learn, can also get, who volunteer with our programs can get service hours. And we have our big event, which is the Middle East Film Festival. Usually we have it at the Student Life Cinema. For this year, actually starting next Sunday, not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after, February 21st, for 5 Sundays, we will be presenting virtually movies about different areas from the Middle East. We have one from Ethiopia, we have one from Israel, we have one from Morocco, we have one from Iran, and the last one, I can't remember right now, but we do have, Turkey. So we have 5 wonderful movies that you will not see in the movie theater. You're probably very difficult that they will be on Netflix. All these are recent movies, and all of them will present a different aspect, cultural aspect of the Middle East. So I hope that you will join us for these movies, that you can watch them with your friends at your own from the comfort of your own living room. And if you do not mind, since you are all joining us for this coffee hour, we will see if we can get your your email addresses so that we can send you the links for these movies. You will have to enroll to be admitted to them. They're free, you don't have to pay anything, and come and learn with us. Without, like talking even more, I'm going now to turn on to Peyton Parken, who is our Middle East Center's assistant and who is also the president. She's also one of our students and majors, but she is also the president for the Arab Honor Society, for the Arabic Honor Society. So I am going to let Peyton talk to you about this, and then we will go on to learning more about the food.
Hello, everyone. My name is Peyton Parken. I am the founder and president of Arabic Honor Society here at FSU. I'm also the assistant for the Middle East Center. And I'm just going to briefly speak about Arabic Honor Society. It's a new organization that focuses on promoting academic scholarship amongst those at FSU who are studying Arabic. And also we're, of course, working with the Middle East Center to promote enrollment in courses and just everything relating to the Middle East studies at FSU. And just a quick update, we are actually having an information meeting next Tuesday, February 16th, 2021 at 8:15 p.m. And we also have conversation tables and other planned community service events this semester. And actually, there's a Qualtrics or Google form that my community service Ariana will drop in the chat in just a second. And yeah, that's all I have. And I'm excited to I'm looking forward to this event. Thank you.
Now I am going to turn actually the screen to my colleague, Dr. Zafer Lababidi, and he will be talking to you about the food and about the dish that we are, that Chef Jesse will be preparing for us today. But before we go, I also would like to thank also my colleague, Jessica Valentine, who prepared all the games for the breakout rooms that you will be playing. So thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Zafer Lababidi. I'm a professor of Arabic and an assistant director to the Middle East Center here at Florida State University. And I will be talking to you a little bit about Middle Eastern cuisine. Hopefully, I'm not sure if you've had your dinner or not. If you haven't, I feel bad for you because you're going to be really extremely hungry after watching these images. So in general, I think I wanted to touch base a little bit about a few components that are the basics of the Middle East cuisine. Number one is bread. We call it khubz in Arabic. In Egypt, they call it aish. Aish is a word that means life. This is how important khubz and bread is in the culture and in the region. There are two different kinds, or more than two different kinds of bread. The two famous ones are the saj bread, which you see right here in front of you. It's a dome-shaped kind of oven in which women spread a thin layer of dough, and then they add it on top of the hot dome in order to create that really thin and nice type of bread. In addition, you might be also familiar with pita bread, which is very common nowadays all over the globe. The Middle East cuisine is also packed with appetizers and meza dishes. These are extremely important. If you go to any restaurant, sometimes even without asking you, they just spread the table in front of you with these different kinds of meza and appetizers, from the tabbouleh salad that you see on the right side to the more than 50 different kinds of spreads, hummus, baba ganoush, the kibbeh. All these things are extremely delicious, and they are presented in a really fantastic way. And that's just a starter, believe it or not. Also pastry, but not sweet dessert. Different kinds of pastries are also common across the Middle East. As we said, dough is an important element of the cuisine in the Middle East. So sometimes you will see it stuffed, with meat or with vegetables or with cheese, baked in a brick oven, and they're absolutely delicious. So sometimes you will see stuff like that on a menu. If you can find them, grab them without even hesitation. Dessert is also also really famous in the Middle East, obviously. So there's a lot of different kinds of dessert. The two most maybe famous ones that you can hear about all the time are the baklava and then the knafe on the left side at the bottom. Baklava or knafe are considered one of the top 50 dessert items in the world, delicious, desserts that were ranked across the globe. So they're extremely also delicious. Knafe is my favorite on the left side. It's hard to find, but if you find it, order it without hesitation as well. Okay, so moving on to our dish today. One of my favorite growing up. I would remember walking into the kitchen and helping my grandma prepare Mousaka'a. You might have heard of it in the Greek kitchen also as Mousaka'a, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So some information about Mousaka'a. It's an eggplant and tomato-based dish. The name Mousaka'a means in Arabic to make something cold, and that is referencing the fact that the dish is served cold in most of the countries where it's made. It may be served cold as a meza dish, or sometimes people prefer to eat it hot. You can eat it with a spoon or with a pita bread. We usually use the pita bread in order to break it apart and to dip the vegetables and then eat it. There are many regional varieties, obviously. Some include ground meat. If you want to add some ground meat into the mix, that's also fine. But the dish today is going to be totally vegetarian. This dish was introduced to Europe through Greece in the 1920s. And ever since it became known as Mousaka'a with some variations. Obviously, they add some dough and they add some cheese in the Greek kitchen. But you will see the original recipe now being made by Chef Jesse. Fun fact, when you pick up your eggplants, there's a male eggplant and a female eggplant, and you want to get the male eggplant. Sometimes when I go do my grocery shopping, I'll be that weird guy who's digging apart, like breaking apart all the eggplant pile and trying to find the male eggplants for two main reasons. They're not bitter and they contain less seeds. You don't want seeds in your eggplants. The female eggplant will contain a lot of seeds and most likely it will be bitter. So if you can find the male eggplants, grab those. For any kind of dish that you cook with eggplants, you want the male eggplant. So the shape of the male eggplant has a dot, as you can see right here, versus the female has a dash, kind of an indented dash at the bottom of the eggplant. So look for the male ones and grab them when you want to prepare your dish. Thank you, everyone. We're very excited to have you. I want to thank our friends also at the Center of Global Engagement for allowing us this opportunity to host this event. And without any further ado, let's turn it up to Chef Jesse and see how the dish is made.
Thank you so much, Zafer and Zeina and Payton, your presentations. And also, it's super fun that I didn't know there is a male and female of eggplant though. But thank you for giving us that information. But anyways, seems like our Chef Jesse is waiting. Look at his hat, signature. But welcome to our Chef Jesse.
Hey, thanks, Yang. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Globe Kitchen. And thanks for that great detail on Mousaka'a, Zafer. There's a lot of good information. I recently just learned about the eggplant thing, studying about this dish. And I had gone out and inadvertently just bought eggplants. And so I don't know, these two here, I don't know if you can see them. I thought the one on the right was male and the one on the left was female. What do you think? Anybody, any ideas out there?
I think the one on the left is definitely the male. No, the
Yeah,
other
this one.
Yeah, that one is a male. That one on the right, I'm not sure. It's really hard to tell, but I'm leaning more towards a female eggplant. Maybe when you cut it open, you will see the amount of seeds. If it's too much seeds, then that's the female eggplant.
Then we'll know. Okay. All right. Well, good information for sure, because I guess eggplants, some people can tend to kind of shy away from them because they don't know how to prepare them, or they've had them and tried to cook them and they end up being really like chewy or not very tender. And so one thing you should know when you're going out to purchase eggplants actually is that you want them to be really nice and firm too. I was out at Publix shopping for these and they had a bunch out on the floor and they had like indentations in them and they were soft. And I had to ask the produce people to go back and get me some fresh ones because they do bruise pretty easily. And so you really want them to be firm and nice and fresh. That's definitely important to have a good tasting eggplant. It sounds like if you get the male ones, you probably don't have to salt them. There's a whole nother process with these where you could slice them and salt them and put them in salted water. And today I'm not going to do that. But I guess if you end up with a bunch of female ones, you might want to do that to help draw some of that bitterness out. But all right, let's get into these ingredients here. We actually got a lot of cooking to do today. I'm pretty excited about this. We're gonna cook this from scratch. I only did a couple of different prep things here. I'm gonna show you how to do each step. We've got about 2 pounds of eggplant here. I've got this is just a long hot pepper is what they call it. It looks kind of like a green cayenne to me. You could use a jalapeno if you want. You could even, this is optional. You don't even have to put like a hot chili in there. We've got a few cloves of garlic. I had about 2 pounds, 2¼ pounds of tomatoes. So I had 5 of these tomatoes to 2 of these eggplants. My proportion is a little bit higher tomato than eggplant. All these different recipes and versions throughout the region have kind of different variations. Like some are more liquidy, some are more dry. You know, there's different proportions. Some, like the Lebanese version, has chickpeas in it. And so, you know, when you're making this, you can follow this recipe to the T, but then you can also kind of adjust it, you know, for your own personal taste as well. We've got 1 yellow onion, just diced up, kind of rough diced, nothing special. And this is the rest of the tomatoes. So my 4 other tomatoes, earlier, I skinned them and then diced them up and took the core out. So I'm gonna show you how to skin a tomato. I've got a little bit of tomato paste. I've got some black peppercorns, and then I've got some parsley down here too. And also salt, extra virgin olive oil, and a little cayenne pepper, or you could use like hot paprika, something like that. It'd be like spicy. The hot stuff could definitely be omitted if you don't want it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna wanna do here is cut up our eggplant. So let's see, I think this one looks more like a female to me, but we'll see what it looks like when we cut it open here. Just gonna cut this top end off. We're gonna cut the bottom end off. This is a nice firm eggplant. And then we're going to use a peeler and we're gonna peel stripes down it. So we're gonna fry the eggplant, and traditionally it is fried, but you could also bake it. I think frying it is definitely worth the trouble, and it probably doesn't add too many more calories. But it cooks the eggplant very quickly and makes it very tender. And I think it does add a certain richness to the dish as well. Some people will peel all the eggplant skin off. I like the eggplant skin to give the color contrast to the dish. So that's kind of up to your taste too. All right, so now we're just gonna slice it. And I'm gonna slice about 1-inch thick slices here. Oh yeah, that's pretty seedy. And that was the male one. That seems kind of seedy to me, but let's check out this one that I thought was the female potentially. Oh, it's kind of about the same. So maybe they're both males. All right, so nice thick chunks here. We're gonna fry these. And the fryer back here, I've got on 350 degrees. You want a nice wide pan, you know, 2 to 4 cups of some kind of vegetable oil. Then I've got a little rack here I'm gonna use too. You want something to collect it with and some tongs. And I'm just gonna gently put it all in there. Laura, if you wanna you can keep the camera there, it's all right. I'm gonna come back to there. Gonna drop these in real quick. All right. So this dish is a really good one to learn and to keep this recipe, honestly, because it's the basis of so many other dishes, and there's so many variations. Just this fresh tomato sauce, and with the onions and garlic, and you mix the eggplant in. You know, there's just so many variations and so many things you can do with this basic recipe. I really highly encourage you to, you know, give it a shot. All right, so next we're gonna do our tomato, and so to peel the tomato, you need some boiling water, enough to cover the tomato in, and then we're gonna cut a little cross in the top. If you don't wanna go through the process of peeling the tomato, that's fine. The peel is just gonna give you a little bit of texture. What you can do is dice it up pretty fine, and so the texture of the peel will kind of get mixed into the dish. So we're just gonna put it into that boiling water for about a minute. Okay. I'm gonna turn on my pan here. So this is the pan we're gonna start our sauce in, and this is like a 12-inch, 14-inch saute pan. You could also use like a 2-quart saucepan, that would work fine too. And you're gonna start with your onions and olive oil, but before I throw that in there, I'm going to smash up my garlic and get that ready too. All right. So Zafer, part of your presentation was about mezza platters and mezza style of eating. And so this type of dish would be served as part of a mezza?
Yes, it could be served as part of a meza.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, it's absolutely appetizing beyond imagination. I mean, anything, at least for me, with eggplants, anything with eggplants get me going. And but you can definitely serve it as a meza, as a side dish, or as the main dish. If you want to serve it hot or cold, it's totally up to you.
Yeah, that's one of my personal dreams, is to visit the Middle East and enjoy a true mezza platter or meal even. Would you eat mezza? Is it a starter, or is it just like a mixture of small dishes, or is it like a prelude to a meal, or is it,
It's a prelude to a meal. I mean, it looks,
okay.
It's a lot of food. I mean, by American standards, it's a meal on its own, but by Middle Eastern standards, it's just a prelude to a meal.
Right. Okay, so we've got our long hot pepper here. We're just gonna slice this open real quick. I'm watching my temperature here. I'm watching my eggplant. This is great. We do a lot of pastries and stuff, and this time we actually get to cook today. This is cooking in the kitchen. We don't use our kitchen enough back here anymore. Hopefully more this fall. All right, so this we're just going to thinly slice. It looks like you could also use like a green bell pepper or a red bell pepper as well. I saw variations with that. Okay. Now, all right, if you want to come over, Lara, it's a good time. I'm going to turn up this a little bit. The eggplant does take a little while to cook. That's one thing people often mistake with eggplant, is undercooking it. It does take a while, and the frying in the oil makes it very quick, and it's pretty easy to tell when it's done. We basically want to fry it until it's golden brown. All right, let's see what we got here. So our pan is pretty hot. I'm going to drop some oil in. So good, it's not too hot. A few tablespoons, quarter cup. Enough to start cooking this onion in. And I'm going to turn the heat up to about a medium. And then our tomato, I'm going to pull out and let it cool over here for a second before I can peel it. So that's been in about for a minute or so. Okay. So we're just gonna saute our onions. We can do this on a pretty high heat. Kind of like charred flavors. We don't want to burn this, but if it turns brown, that really suits eggplant really well, because eggplant's kind of got this sweet, smoky kind of flavor profile. And so if we brown these onions a little bit, or even char it a little bit on the side, that's totally okay. I'm going to turn it up a little bit higher. We don't want to darken the garlic too much, because the dark garlic gets very kind of acrid, bitter kind of tasting. I'm just going to flip these eggplants, and I'm watching the temperature on them. I'm going to turn it up a little bit here.
Let me add, Chef Jesse, that what basically determines the how done the eggplants are, the thickness of the cut. You want it to be that 1 inch, because it takes longer to cook. So if it's less than 1 inch, it might cook faster. So a lot of people might assume that if I cut it as a 1/2 inch or less than that it will take the same amount to cook a 1 inch cut eggplant. No, it depends on how thick the cut is.
Definitely, yeah. This is going to definitely take a little longer to cook. And I cut it thick because I want there to be kind of chunks of eggplant in the tomato sauce, and some chunks of tomato too. Like if you cut the eggplant too thin, it'll kind of just melt, and which can be good too. But for this, I'm looking for a little bit of, chunks.
You're speaking my language, chef.
Yeah. All right, so you see we're getting a little color on the onions there. And I am watching these eggplants. And I got this burner up on high now. So this part can go pretty quick. Okay. I think I'm going to add a little bit more oil here. And we can even add a little bit of salt here too while the onions are going down. Those will help kind of get some of the water out of them and evaporate a little faster maybe. All right. So anybody have any questions out there? Any comments to share?
If you prefer to type your questions, please do in the chat section. We'll be happy to read them out loud for Chef Jesse, and we can answer them all together.
All right. So the onions are looking good. And we are going to add our sliced chili and our garlic.
I would add that if one wants to make it a full vegetarian meal, they can add 1 can of chickpeas at the end, and also they might want to add, also dice a potato and fry it and add it to the dish as well. So that will make it a full vegetarian meal. Be really good, and it's more or less also the Lebanese recipe.
You know, one thing when I was kind of reading about this dish was I was surprised kind of how far it spread into Europe, I guess, like in the Balkans, where there's a version of moussaka in the Balkans where it's potato and like sour cream and meat. I don't know if they use eggplant in that version, but I still think they call it moussaka. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there are
Right, so
different versions of it, I guess.
the onions are getting some color on them here. This is good. We're at the point where we can add some tomatoes. We're just going to add the ones that I did, cut up earlier. And I'm going to just do a little dash of cayenne. Just a little bit of heat. And we can do another pinch of salt. Probably total amount of salt I'm going to add in here is a couple teaspoons. But of course, that's to taste. You could add more or less to what you like.
Hey, asked a question about the eggplants and why do we peel them in a stripe shape rather than peel the entire eggplant. What I can tell you, Kate, what my grandma told me is that when you peel stripes, it keeps the eggplant together. It holds it together rather than it will fall apart when you fry it. But those stripes, the skin, will keep it together and will hold it together. So this is one reason that I know for sure.
I can also, I think it's also about possibly when you're eating it, the skin gets pretty tough. So if the skin pieces are small, then it's easier to eat. That's just one idea I've had of it. But I've seen lots of recipes with big slices of eggplant in them too. So it might depend on what type of eggplant you have on how tender the skin is. Okay.
Ethan also asked a question about the frying oil, chef. What do you do with the frying oil after you're done?
The frying oil, itself, well, I try to save it. So this kind of thing you would let cool down and you could pour into a container. You can strain it through a coffee filter when it's hot. And then when it's finally done, I'll pour it back into its, you know, original oil container and put it in the trash. Okay, so I'm gonna just bring this over here real quick. I'll show you all how to do this. So you can see where the skin split. You cut that cross now, we can easily peel this skin off. Oh. All right. And then see how thick that skin is, that's gonna come out. Not necessary, but kind of nice texturally. And then I'm gonna add it to here real quick. Get all of our tomatoes in. Okay. All right, so this is just gonna cook a little bit more. Our tomatoes are pretty much ready. We're just waiting on the eggplant. They do take a little bit of time. One thing is when you put them all in, it really cools the oil off. So you've got to keep that temperature up, keep an eye on it, make sure they continue to fry. Some of them look like they're getting done though. I'm gonna let these go for another minute while we cut up our parsley, and then we'll be able to finish this dish in just about a minute here. All right, so I've got a bunch of parsley, washed it really good. This is a really big bunch, so I think honestly we only need about half of it. I saw some recipes, particularly from Syria, that used fresh coriander, it said. And I was kind of surprised because I haven't seen a lot of fresh coriander in Middle Eastern food. Is that a common ingredient or is that kind of rare?
Yeah, cilantro. This is what the fresh coriander is. We use it quite a bit in our cuisine, definitely.
Okay.
Cilantro seeds, to be more specific. Those are the seeds of the cilantro.
The coriander, right?
There's also cilantro, the green.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, yeah.
All right, so we're using parsley today, which is real fresh tasting, real nice green color. The stems are a little bit woody, so I want to be careful not to get too many stems in there. If you're using cilantro, I like to use the cilantro stems as well because they're pretty tender. But you always want to handle your herbs really lightly and always run your knife like you're slicing it. You don't want to chop down like boom, boom, boom. You're going to bruise it up really good. You want it to stay nice and fluffy and pretty. So you do a quick slice. So I am going to add a little of this to the tomato. Actually, Laura pointed out to me I forgot the tomato paste, but we're going to put a little tomato paste in this sauce too. So here comes the eggplant. Oh, yes. They are looking good. They're very tender. The oil is bubbling up from the center, and so we know that they're cooked all the way through. If you're going to roast the eggplant, you want it to cook for a good amount of time. It's going to take at least a half hour in the oven to really roast the eggplant. And if you're making something like this, I would recommend kind of pre-cutting up the eggplant, tossing it in oil and roasting it. But if you're roasting eggplant for like a dip, like baba ganoush or something like that, you usually want to roast it whole. And then once it collapses, then you know it's done. It'll collapse on itself and just become kind of a flat pancake. So we're doing about a tablespoon of tomato paste in there. Gonna add some rich tomato flavor to the sauce here. Okay, this is looking very tasty. All right, so I'm gonna bring this here. And then, so we can see the eggplant here is completely cooked through. Nice and juicy and tender. Outside is a little crispy. And we can cut this eggplant into halves. We can put it in whole. We can do quarters. It's kind of up to you what size you want your eggplant to be when it goes in. Ooh, they're pretty hot. So I'm gonna cut them into quarters so that it's kind of easy to pick it up with some pita bread and have it all kind of blend together with the tomatoes some here, but also have nice chunks. Oh yeah, nice eggplants. Whoa. So anybody out there think they're gonna go for it and try to make this? Any cooks in the audience tonight?
Well,
Maybe?
not when we are watching you cooking, Jesse. All you do is making us hungry all the time.
Yeah.
But
one of
one
my
quick
skills.
question is, can we use the air fryer instead of like oil frying the eggplant in this case?
I am not experienced in the air fryer. And so I'm not sure, to be honest.
I'll make it in the air fryer. I make the eggplant in the air fryer, and they turn out great, and with a lot less oil as well. So,
Nice.
yes.
All right. So the outside of the eggplant definitely got crispy. And we got nice big chunks mixed in with the tomato sauce. Some recipes for this will take this and even cook this on a low heat for a while. Everything's cooked right now, so I mean it's to me it's good to go. But the flavors could definitely meld. The tomatoes could break down some more. But as Zafer said, this is served cold usually. So at this point, it would be kind of left to come down to room temperature, not necessarily cold, but room temperature, and then garnished with some of this leftover parsley. So I'm going to put it into a bowl here. We'll get our presentation set up. Serve a nice big bowl of this. This could easily serve probably 8 people as like a appetizer. Probably if you added chickpeas or something and have it as a dinner, you could definitely serve 4 people for dinner. Okay, lots of parsley. You can go ahead and just mix some of this in. There we go. Yeah, that's so fresh, so good. All right, so if there aren't any other questions out there, I am done with the Mousaka'a. I hope you all give this a shot. It is really delicious, super satisfying, and pretty healthy too. Like pretty much vegetables, you know.
Thank you, Jesse. It looks
You're
so
welcome.
good.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it's supposed to be served as a cold dish. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yep. I mean, it can be eaten hot. I mean, that's that's up to you. But traditionally, yes, it's definitely served room temperature, cold. And the batch we made yesterday, I was eating it today, giving it a shot to see what it was like cold, and it's absolutely delicious. Definitely. I mean, either way, it's, fantastic.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jesse. I know you cannot see the chat box, but it's a round applause of thank you for making us this dish. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Oh, yeah. You're also welcome. Thanks for joining. See y'all next week.
Thank you.